Good morning, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101, and today we'll be talking about Widepoint Corporation. Now, this particular mobile management company has a lot of contracts with the U.S. government, and it seems to be very profitable in the short term as well as the long term. They may have some dips, some lows, somewhat in the next 3 or 4 years, but I believe that this could be a good stock for your portfolio. And currently this stock is trading under 10%. Give me 1 second very, very quickly. All right. So with that being said, let's get into the review. All right, if I'm looking at the past projection of the past 5 years, I see that Widepoint has actually been up 28%. Which really isn't that much compared to some of the other stocks we've been looking at. But nonetheless, this stock has long-term potential of gains that I believe that you guys can absolutely make some good money off of. So as we're looking at the 5-year return right here, 28%, the past year is around 111%. The past 3 months down almost 30%. The past month almost down 24%. The past week has been up 0.11%. And then today, the market is live, but there's no movement on this particular stock. Okay, and it says here is that Widepoint engages in the provision of trusted mobility management solutions. It operates through the carrier service and managed service segments. The carrier service includes bills for costs incurred to deliver phone data and satellite and related mobile services for a connected device or endpoint. The managed service segment delivers managed services under a full service or self-service solutions. The company was founded on May 30th, 1997, and is headquartered in Fairfax, Virginia. Okay, the ticker for this particular stock is WYY. It currently has 234 employees. Again, headquarters in Fairfax, Virginia. Nothing else relevant there. Is in software. Here are the current projections that you see. It had a lot of side movement throughout these particular quarters, like fiscal year 19 all the way through 20. And now at the end, it actually rose. No current projections of fiscal year 1 in the first quarter. Okay. Here are some other people who stand in this particular position. We got Powtar, not so much Plug Power, and Jumina Technologies. Let's move on. So as we're moving to Market Watch here, we're going to see, give me 1 second, that this stock has been doing, it's been doing decent enough. Now, I know you guys are watching the past performance right here, but nonetheless, the stock is not doing as bad as you may think it is. Again, we're looking at long-term potential when it comes to these investments, okay? We're thinking about long-term investments. We want to buy low, okay? Buy low, sell high. That should always be your strategy. And again, in the past year, we notice right here, ladies and gentlemen, it's been up 116%, okay? And the analyst on MarketWatch is giving this a buy rating. Is giving it a buy rating. So I believe that's very profitable. And look at this right here. When we look at the earnings per share, we see that it's $1.18. That's an indicator to let you know that the company is actually operating in profit, not in debt. Anytime you see a positive sign here, positive numbers, that means that the company is operating in profit, versus if there was a negative sign here, that means that the company is actually operating in debt. Okay. So there are some other news here that I would like to just point out very quickly. It says that the Widepoint stock price raised to 13 from 10. So that's another indication that we might see some movement here. And then it goes on and on and on about all the pertinent information that pertains to this particular stock. Okay. Moving on to Yahoo Finance. This is going to give us a overall projection and also look into how the past performance of this particular stock has been doing. Let's go to the past 5 years. And we notice right here in January of this year, the stock was up to $14.49. Currently, the stock is down to $8.85. So we still can see some growth and potential with that. Now, when it comes to the Yahoo's performance outlook, we see that short term, that this stock should be going up 2 weeks to 6 weeks. But midterm, they believe that the stock is going to have some dips, some lows. Is actually going to go down. And then long term, again, that's what I'm talking about, long-term investments, that profits will go up. Again, profits will go up according to Yahoo Finance, okay? Now, as I was searching through here and I was looking at revenue, they have a good tool over here. And this is what they've been doing the past 3 to 4 years. You see how comparison to 2017, 2018, 2019, and also of last year, that this stock revenue, okay, let me get you the key right here. The revenue has increased. Now, as we see 2019 going into 2020, the green bars, the green graph shows the revenue, the blue graph shows the earnings, okay? So we notice 2020 revenue skyrocketed to up to $180 million, and the earnings actually also went up to $10 million. Now we look at the previous year, the revenue for 2019 was $101 million. Earnings was only $226,000. So they have done something very significant to increase their earnings, let alone their revenue. Now, I was also getting into the news over here, which I think is very important, but I must point out that MarketWatch has this as a buy, and Yahoo Finance has it as undervalue. So undervalue is essentially the same thing as buy low. Okay, undervalue means that it has not reached its stock potential. Okay, always keep that in the back of your mind. Anything that's undervalued, that is where you want to buy. Anything that's overvalued, you want to have some skepticism. You want to be very careful when you buy stocks that's overvalued. But undervalued, yes, you definitely want to buy that stock. Okay, but here's some important news I wanted to point out to you guys. It says here that 21 days ago, that Widepoint partners were intercede to deploy for a new Fortune Global 500 corporation. Great news. Almost a month ago, Widepoint bags over 86 million U.S. Department of Homeland Security task orders. Okay, and it goes on in more depth and more stories with that particular information. It also states here, also a month ago, Widepoint reports fourth quarter 2020 financial results, as we just seen that the revenue for this was 180 million and the earnings were $10 million, significantly times 10 the amount of the previous year. Because here's 2020 at 180 million and earnings at 10 million, where if you look at the previous years, only 101 million versus over $250,000 in earnings. Okay, let's move right along. Now, this is probably one of the most important news to this particular stock of Widepoint. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, Widepoint is a stock that you can absolutely afford and invest with great potential. Widepoint is only $8.85 today, and it's been doing pretty well. I mean, essentially, you're going to buy the stock at a retail, at a sales price, almost on clearance compared to what CNS stock price forecast has for us today. So it states here that Widepoint Corporation have a median target, of $55.45 with a high estimate of $96.90 and a low estimate of $14. So if we took this at the very lowest point, Widepoint is still has the greatest potential of reaching $14. So right now, if you get in at $8.85, $9, you're essentially making $5 to $6 of a return in the next year or so. But I always like to point out at the median target price, because it usually reaches this price. That's why hitting the midpoint is always a good point. But again, ladies and gentlemen, you must have patience, discipline, and understand that we're investing long term. If you guys want to invest short term, you should be looking for option trading. You should be looking for pharmaceutical companies, and as well as penny stock investing. But if you just say, hey, I just want to put some money somewhere and see it grow, then this is one of the stocks that you should absolutely be looking into. I believe that this would be a good stock for your portfolio. It also states here that CNN Business also say that this is a buy stock in the Widepoint Corporation, okay? It says this rating has held steady since September when it was unchanged from a buy rating, okay? So that's pretty much it for your stock review for today. I believe, again, that this particular stock can be very profitable for you in the long term. I'm thinking anywhere from 1 to 4 years. But again, you should never be outside of the stock market. You should always be investing, always looking for more assets to acquire. That way you can raise your wealth potential and times 10 your wallet, okay? Because again, some stocks you should hold and pretty much never sell them until you absolutely need the money. And then there's some stocks, year in, year out, kind of like the Warren Buffett thing, like, I had this stock for 2 years. They're not really making any movement. Let me sell these and let me have a stronger or larger position and maybe a new IPO or things of that matter. Because when Coinbase came out and I was giving that information about the new IPO, it came out at $250, but it rose to $420. So a lot of people became not only millionaires, thousandaires, hundredaires, but people made a lot of money off that particular IPO. And information is important when you're investing, because more times than not, when you invest in the IPO when it first released, you're getting that stock at one of the lowest price points that you can possibly imagine. But when you wait and that stock exponentially grows, then you lose out on potential earnings because you bought in too late. So IPOs are really good to invest in, especially when you do your research. It's kind of like when I bought Snapchat. I bought it, I believe, at $17 and I sold it at $22, but Snapchat is still doing better than it was. And I recently released a video stating why I should have held on to my Snapchat, but I was too quick to sell it. But my point is that Facebook at the current time was integrating some of the Snapchat software. They had to use different algorithms, but some of the same things you can do on Snapchat, Vine, Facebook was already trying to do it. So I was like, let me back away from this, but I still walked away with some good money. So if you guys are trying to get into IPO, I let this information out that you should go to just type into your Google search bar, Google Alert. Google Alert will pop up a website and you just type in IPO. You save it, and every time that an IPO is released or information on IPO, you're going to get an email about that. Now, sometimes emails can be very cumbersome, and you guys are like, I got all these emails. So let me give you 2 other websites that you can get this information. I kind of like my email because I check my email every day. Some people made this one alert to notification. So let me take you over to NASDAQ. NASDAQ is another great site for you guys to find out about IPOs, because they have an IPO counter. Let me shrink this down just a bit. Okay, and what they have here is up and coming IPOs for you guys to look at. I mean, some of these companies you may be familiar with, some of these companies you may not, but anything that's intriguing compared about how much the stock may cost, or the revenue, or the structure of the company, or the technology of the company, I believe that's all worth your while for you guys to absolutely look into, okay? Because you can come here, get great information, or you can get great information on your own. So I want to give you those tools so you have the options of doing this by yourself. So here it is. We're on NASDAQ.com, and the only thing you need to do in your Google search bar is type in NASDAQ IPO, and here's the NASDAQ calendar. What I love about this is give you the expected share price of it, how many shares it essentially have when it becomes public, and as well as the expected IPO release date. So let's just take, for instance, let's look at FTC Solar. It lets you know the exchange market of NASDAQ Global. They're telling you that this particular IPO release will be between $18 and $20, and it has over 18 million shares. It is expected to be released on April 28th. Okay, so that's the way you read that. That's the way you interpret that. Let's move on. Of course, it has a whole slew of the current IPO that's being released. And what I absolutely love, it tells you the exchange markets, like this particular one called Endeavor Group Holdings. The very first one that I'm highlighting is on the New York Stock Exchange, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's move on. Next one, This is the New York Stock Exchange IPO, and you do the same thing on your Google search bar. The only thing you need to do is type in, excuse me, NYSE IPO. That's all you have to do. And the same thing, ladies and gentlemen, it says the price date, InfoBird just came out, and this was a little more in depth, and I like this. It lets you know the ticker. It lets you know the industry. It said that it's in technology, most likely software. And Brook Runners, it lets you know what strong's position each person has. It lets you know the exchange. It lets you know essentially the amount over, the offer price at $4, and then price versus last range. It tells you that it's within the price range, below the price range, or above the price range. This is a little more in depth. And what I like about this, if you take one like Alchemy Technology, and you see that it's in technology, it tells you Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan and Chase, Citi, all the people who have large position in this particular stock, and also the exchange that this stock is actually listed on. So these are really great tools that you guys can use to research for yourself and actually jump in instead of waiting for me. But the one tool I like, because when I'm going through my emails, you know, we all have our routine. I pop up my emails and I start going through them. If you go to Google again and you type in Google Alert, you simply type in IPO, you save it, and then you'll be getting emails to your Google you'll be getting emails to your Google email address about all the different IPOs. And what I love, it gives you a snapshot of the evaluation of that company. Because the reason why I knew that Coinbase was going to be evaluated anywhere between 70 to $100 billion is because of Google Alert. Because I can just, okay, that's the evaluation. Let me look into the company. Let me break it down. Let me do my research. Okay. And for you guys who are not familiar, we're talking about Widepoint and also different tools that we can use to actually invest. To give you guys a little more information about Widepoint before I get out of here, let me show you this. This is the Widepoint website. And right here, we read this paragraph. Don't forget, I will blow this up for you guys to read. Here we go. And it states right here, ladies and gentlemen, it says Widepoint Corporation is an innovative provider of trusted mobility management solution. It says trusted. This is very important because this gives me the longevity of a stock when I start reading things of this nature. Trusted partner to government and enterprise, Widepoint has a diverse portfolio of clients serving global, worldwide technology. I love companies like this, and international organization and the Fortune 100 across a multitude of industry. It says Widepoint is the leading provider of customized telecom and mobile management solution to the U.S. public sector. Widepoint is also an approved and trusted issuer of U.S. government strong authentication credentials since 1999 and a provider of identity management credentialing services since 2006. So we understand that, take for instance, when I was in the military, they used to issue out, depending on your rank, position, and also the area that you were working, you get a government cell phone. Companies like Widepoint were an intricate piece because of the security and the credentialing of you operating that cell phone. So essentially, you're talking about but information that should not be known to the public, because of national security reasons. So companies like Widepoint are a very intricate part to the government, So we really need to look at things like that, of the potential of the technology and essentially the value of a company. Companies like this, they kind of stay in the backstage. They're behind backstage. They're the one who are working while you see people in the forefront, like either be BlackBerry. BlackBerry had huge government contracts. BlackBerry is the phone. They have some proprietary software, but what about the security? Companies like Widepoint are providing the credentialing and the security of these cell phones. So we saw keywords and key terms like U.S. public sector, global, international, U.S. government contracts, and credentialing. Very key terms for you guys to make the investment. Good morning, Clan 187. He says, can't wait until the market goes right back. Yeah, because right now we're buying stocks on the dip. Right now, the whole stock market is taking a dip. And for you guys, Widepoint is actually making a small move today. They're making a small move. Let me go back. Making a small move down. It was at $8.85 at the turn on market, but it's now at $8.78. Okay. So here we go. Right now, the market, essentially like my portfolio, is absolutely down. So all across the market, it's not doing so well. But I'll tell you this is give you a quick synopsis. NEO is making a little bit of movement. They're above the $35 mark that they was just staggering at for such a long time. Okay, for such a long time. They dropped from 40. So you can even buy NEO at a discounted price. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a great and wonderful day. This is Financial Literacy 101. Learn money and be inspired. Good morning, Prime X. You guys have a great and wonderful day. I'm out.